Manx Radio's Countryside is brought to you by NFU Mutual.
Hello, welcome to Countryside here on Manx Radio. I'm Simon Clark.
And I'm Kirree. This week I took a trip up into the hills above Sulby to talk to Carl Huxon from Ale & Dairy.
And Jurby Church Committee are brilliant at putting on exhibitions at different parts of the year. And at the moment, they're running an exhibition called Catching the Boat, and also a display of old postcards from many years ago. I speak to one of the church members, Sandra Kerrison. Well, what a busy week it's been on the Isle of Man, Kirree. Happy Tynwald Day. I hope you enjoyed yourselves there.
It was splendid. Plenty of people out, and the sun obviously does help. But how many World Championships did we have at the weekend on the Isle of Man?
Well, it was the World Tin Bath Championships, wasn't it? And well done, June Collister and all the team taking part in the locals taking part in the World Downhill Skateboard Championships. Incredible, and good to see few good old bales on display there that they still use. They're not going to bounce off the air fence.
Not at all. It was fabulous. Even we took a trip up to Ramsey to have a watch. It was so well put together, easy to get access to watching. The positions were brilliant up at the hairpin there. Big coverage on the screens. It was fantastic. Let's hope these events can grow and grow. Yeah,
and of course the Isle of Man motorcycle clubs welcomed all the British Enduro motorcycle teams to the Isle of Man, which was great to have the rounds on the Saturday and Sunday here on our own home soil here on the Isle of Man. And well done to all of the Manxies who did so well competing in that. So let's hope we can get that back again. Anyway, you've been up Narradale. Now,
I have.
I've been up there a few times. You have probably too, but this time you were actually on radio business.
You cheeky devil. No, indeed. I went up Narradale Road and it was going on forever. I think it's a mile above the Ginger Hall there. We went up to Ale & Dairy Farm to catch up with Carl Huxon to talk about his recent awards that he's won at the Royal Highland Show. I'm here at the top of Sulby, virtually where I think is in the mountains. It's not really a conventional place to have a dairy farm. How did you ever end up here?
Well, you're at 480 feet here on the yard. I was in accountancy before I started farming back 2006, so 20 years now, and it's kind of organically evolved from there.
And as a young fella on the farms, I remember you had beef and sheep. I remember you obviously, as a youngster, Carl, running around with beef and sheep. Now, how did you get into the dairy side of the industry?
Well, I always wanted to work with cows, and it's the area with the biggest return, and you're sort of in all sectors of it. It's probably one of the best parts of agriculture to be in.
And I suppose yours is a little bit different from the other dairy farms here on the Isle of Man. You know, things have been a little bit more difficult lately, but you're an independent. You have your own customers, an online system, a delivery schedule. You know, how does it all work together as a single business?
Well, it has to work together to make any money, to be honest. That's the part of it where you're in control of the entire chain, but it's not easy, and it takes a lot of perseverance to get through it.
When you started out in the dairy side of things, how did you ever get experience to be, be a milkman? All of the things that come with the food safety, the food hygiene, to run the retail side of things as well. How did you put it all together at the very start?
It was very organic to start with, but I did a lot of courses. I mean, obviously my parents were farmers. My granddad was actually a milkman in London, so it's in my blood, so to speak. But it was a big learning curve. And
your first cows, do you remember them? It was a little while ago now.
First dairy cows, yeah. Remember buying 10 from John Cayley and 15 from Ballavari, so it's a long time ago now.
And what did you think when you first went into your own parlour? Did you think, oh my God, I'm here, what am I doing?
Well, I look back now and it's a bit different, but you kind of wonder how I did it at the start, to be honest. It was a lot of work when you reflect on it.
You've got a young family. I've just seen Owen coming out of the dairy parlour here, running about, loving life. It is a great way to be brought up in life. You learn so much, but it's great to have the whole family involved.
Well, for us it is a way of life, isn't it? You're completely engulfed in it, and it's 7 days a week, it's non-stop, and it is very hard to get a break, but it's the industry we're in.
and you're talking about getting a break. You're just fresh back from the Royal Highland show. Now, this is the bit that, we're very proud of you for doing, entering the show alone, but taking part in them dairy classes. There's huge numbers going into them competing for these big awards.
Oh yeah, there was hundreds up there, but we chanced our arm. We like to get involved and sort of promote the Manx industry as best we can. So we entered all the categories: the milk, butter, yogurt, and did all right, I think.
You did all right, I think. Now, coming away from what I can gather here, 3 silvers, the whole milk, the cream, and the butter, but to come away with the champion handcrafted salted butter, that red, white and blue card that everybody wants from the Royal Highland show, that had to be in a very special moment.
Oh yeah, it was a lovely surprise to get that to be honest. It was, just makes it all worthwhile.
You're coming up against some big names. We see on the internet, Graham's Dairy, we see some of the Jersey milk on the shelves in local shops around the Isle of Man. Now, to say you beat them is saying something about your quality.
Yeah, well, they got bronze and we got silver for the milk, so, it's take your wins.
So would there be any way that you'd go into doing the Jersey side of milk, or are you happy with the cows you've got?
I like the cows I've got. I like the Montbéliard. I like the red cows, and the quality is good, so I'm happy with what I'm doing. And
to farm up here, Carl, obviously we're looking out right over onto the coast. You said it's a high place. How do the cows adapt to, the grazing? Is it as good a grazing as it is on the lower parts of the land on the Isle of Man? How do you manage to sort of balance your milk coming off the cows?
It's a challenging ground to farm. It can be really good, it can be really bad, but you have to adapt the cows to suit my farm, and that's what we've done over the last few years. We've kind of bred them a bit hardier and a bit fleshier, and sacrificed a bit of milk possibly for it, but the quality's there, and the cream and butter fat is all good, so happy enough.
And obviously this time of year the cow is mostly outside, and the calves that you have off the cows, do they stay local on the island?
Majority of the calves stay here, to be honest. We have quite a few local customers that take any of surplus calves, but the cows are out during the summer months.
And will you get a shorter summer here compared to sort of the lower ground?
Yeah, spring is roughly 2 weeks later, and then autumn kicks in 2 weeks earlier. But you get an Indian summer, and you're just as good. But we house the cows through the winter, so they're comfortable and happy.
Yeah, and that's what it is. Happy cows. It makes a happy dairy farmer.
Yeah, something like that.
But Carl, on your website, you've got an array of products that people can buy. You have a great delivery service. Where do you keep coming up with the ideas? The milkshake now, you've gone from a couple of flavours. You've built that side up massively.
Yes, we do 10 different flavours of milkshake now. It's really customer demand as well. They ask for it. They asked for the butter, and we kind of went for it. So we're always evolving. It has to. You have to be dynamic.
And the delivery service, I take it, is just for the north?
We basically do the top half of the Isle of Man now. We do down as far as Peel and Foxdale and across to Douglas and the north. So it's keeping us busy.
Yeah, I would imagine. So people maybe hearing this, they can reach out online and get some of this award-winning quality products.
Yeah, it's all on our website, and we have a lot of presence on Facebook. So Sarah deals with all the customer side of it, so keeps her busy.
Do you think, having the glass bottles, is that something that's extra special? Does it just mean that it's more quality? People love getting milk out of a glass bottle.
Well, I'm biased, obviously, but yeah, I would say so. It's I like milk in a glass bottle, and given our sales, I would say the customers do too.
When you set up the business, Carl, obviously the farm name is Éilinn. What does that mean in Manx?
Well, this wasn't actually a farm when I started, so I actually named the farm Éilinn Farm, and it was Beautiful Hill in Manx, so it made sense then to carry the Éilinn into Éilinn Dairy.
And with the dairy farm, Carl, there's never enough hours in the week or in the day to do, just farming on its own, to add in milk in each end of the day, a dairy round, doing all of the orders and all the rest of it. You must have a good team round you.
Yeah, we have a superb team. I do the milking and pasteurising the stuff during the day, but without our team of drivers, that sort of helps get it all out.
There we go. That was Carl Huxon from Aylan Dairy up at Narradale.
Wow, he's really expanding, isn't he? And doing a good job there, because it can't be easy.
No, it's a tricky farm to farm, and he's doing a very, very good job there. But like he says, having that full chain from your pasture to plate almost in the dairy side of things, the products that he's ever, coming up with, new flavours for the milkshakes, handcrafted salted butter, they all just sound amazing. But to come away with those awards, Simon, my word, that's
and no
top
matter
draw.
what the produce is on the Isle of Man or who it's from, you do get a lovely feedback, with people talking about having buttered toast, the doorstep toast or the tea cakes spread with Manx butter.
It is so true. It really is. And I think the idea of having milk out of a glass bottle is something really special about that still. It reminds you of our childhoods maybe, when the milkman was clattering around. It's changed somewhat since then, but Aylan still has that service and it must be tasty.
Yes, indeed. You're listening to Countryside here on Manx Radio with Kirree Kermode and myself, Simon Clark. Well, Jurby Parish Church have put on many fantastic exhibitions over the years, and I went along to see the latest one called Catching the Boat, and another exhibition that was run alongside of it, and the mice were there too. Sandra Kerrison told me more. We're here in Jurby Church. How's this exhibition going?
Well, this is the second phase of the exhibition. The first part was just catching the boat, and it was about the golden age of Manx tourism, where the Manx cat was used to promote the island and island holidays. And this was from about 1901 to the First World War.
When you look back at the pictures involving the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company, which I think was the late 1800s when that set sail, so to speak, and it must have been a marvellous company when it started off with them type of boats that they had.
Yeah, it developed incredibly quickly, and it was just so important to tourism and to the island as a whole, and it was really, there were so many boats going to so many different places, and so you didn't have to, things like booking wouldn't exist. You turned up, and the terminal was just sitting on the boards at the side and waiting for a boat to come, and there was very much like in the early times a season, and so people would save up all year from the mill towns to come over for their week's holiday, and it was an adult's holiday. It was all about having a good time from the moment you got on the boat, and often they'd get to the prom and they would spend the whole holiday on the prom. They didn't get any further, but they liked Groudle Glen as well. So those are the two most important parts. And then, of course, after the war, the tourism industry was decimated, and lots of boarding houses just closed down. And but all the time, the picture postcard, which is really the power of the Manx picture postcard, is what this next part of the exhibition is about. It just was made communications possible on the island as well, and was just like an email, because often there would, in the towns, there would be maybe 3 or 4 deliveries a day, and this was true, of course, in the UK as well. And it was there were so many ferries. There was the night train in the mail train in in England, and so you could communicate quickly for the first time, and it started off as a halfpenny, and then after the war it became a penny, and of course it did increase. But it was a wonderful way of communicating, and you could say somebody who was somewhere living in Ramsey, for example, could write their postcard in the morning and say, "Meet me in Bride Village tonight," and you knew that they would receive the postcard. So it was a combination of, but the boats quite often, by the time you got to the 20s and the 30s, the crossings to the various places weren't that much different from what they are today, because they were constantly often buying a second-hand boat, but they had like 14 boats in the fleet.
But they were probably going to 14 different areas, weren't they?
That's right.
Fleetwood,
yeah.
Llandudno.
Yes, all over the place. Yeah. So it was really busy times, and another pastime was going and watching people come off the boat. So it sort of involved everyone really, and so people could just. The people in the boarding houses could just do the season, and then that was it. They'd made enough to keep them going.
But when you think about the boats back then, I mean, people weren't bothered taking their cars a lot they go now, so the boats were a lot smaller. So of course there was a lot of industry with the coach travel and all around the different cafes that were situated around the Isle of Man.
Yes, just cafes everywhere, and the glens where there was entertainment as well as cafes. So there just seemed to be so much to do, so much variety, and so. A lot of the postcards are from Ramsey, of course, which was had the beautiful park, which was and Parliament Street, which was thriving, and the Grand Island Hotel, the Hydro as it was then, which was magnificent, and so it's. This captures things right through until whether you're still getting a bit of the Manx cat, but then it's the TT sort of comes in. So the postcards are very witty and well drawn. The photographs are superb, and there are old booklets which come from the Percy Wade collection, which are give the timetables of the boats, and so everything was just so full on, and
they were so well illustrated. Looking around at these postcards that's here now, and I always think when I look at these that I remember when I was younger we used to send postcards and receive them. It doesn't happen so much obviously in this day and age, but when you see some of them postcards and they'd have been sent to people who'd never been here, you always get that feeling that you'd look at that and go, oh, here we're in the Isle of Man, blah blah. And making them want to come here. That
was certainly that seemed to be the case, and it's just incredible to think that in 1913 there were 600,000 visitors that year. That season, I suppose.
But the illustrations here, I mean, there's so many different postcards and illustrations, booklets on history of how the Isle of Man was as a tourist industry then, wasn't it?
Yes, and a lot of the adverts are for things like, for example, a 1938 Grand Prix program. And so then you see the beginnings of the first airlines coming in the late 40s after the war, and then you see also they're beginning to actually promote the island by having exhibitions where you can again, the Manx cat is used to promote the island.
It was such a unique thing, and that's probably why it was promoted so much, wasn't it?
Yeah.
People, I'm going to go on holiday to the
That's
island
right,
to see a Manx cat.
Yes, and because it just happened that the picture postcard came at the right time for the Isle of Man, when it was already quite popular, and so your holiday started from when you got on the boat, and there was all sorts of entertainment on the boat as well, and of course the boats always sailed, or if one didn't sail, you knew there'd be another one coming in a few hours' time, and so it was an easy way to get to the island, and as you say, a great way to promote it, seeing these, and so it was just hugely successful and different, because you just had so much happening in such a small place. And of course, people weren't, in the early times, they weren't travelling very far. They would maybe go to, of course, a lot of the people that would go to Ramsey could get the boat to Ramsey, and that was there was also the time that, so I can remember in the 50s that the highlight of your year was a day trip to Belfast or Dublin, and ever so many people did that, and so it was travelling both ways, and I think that some of the businesses would go away, and certainly one of the shops, the Mrs. Tears had a shop which was milliners, and hat makers, and so they probably went away to choose things, went to buying. I'm not sure how, but a lot of the things were made on the island. I know there were good dressmakers, but hat makers, I'm not sure. And so you see them like in the 20s with their furs getting onto the boat, walking around the deck on the boat, and it's just a wonderful picture of life, really, as well as anything else.
And you look at it, and some of the older generation that have come in, that I've noticed, that they sort of look in trepidation at these, thinking, wow, that's really what it was like when you see the postcards of the packed beaches, and
absolutely, packed beaches, and everywhere just thronged with people, and the beautiful prom with its glorious gardens, just a riot of colour, and
well, so the exhibition is on for quite a while.
Well, we're doing tea and cake and selling bonnegs and fruit pies and all sorts of things like that until the 12th. So that's one of the times that we do, and then again during Grand Prix. But the exhibition is on daily from 10 till 4 until the 27th of September.
But finally, I don't know if it was a good idea to have a load of exhibition about cats and a load of exhibition about mice.
Well, we had to have some Jurby mice because they've been coming for lots of years now, and this year we've got two wonderful displays, and these are the two of the places which the mice particularly liked, and one of them is the Grove, and so there's a very busy garden party at the Grove, and the other is a Manx wedding reception at Milntown. Yes, they're really well worth coming to see, and beautifully made.
Sandra Kerrison from Jurby Church telling me more about the history of a lot of those postcards that are on display, and of course the Catching the Boat exhibition that is on until September, as Sandra said there. And it really is a lot of work goes into it, and a lot of a lot of people go into people who they know, who a lot of them are anonymous as well. They don't want the recognition for it, but they let them have their photographs and their old postcards that must have so much sentimental value to take photos off and copy and put them on display at the Jurby Church. So it's well worth a view, and the cakes and tea are good too.
I bet they are. But like you say, Simon, having these people contribute to these local events, a lot of volunteers helping to display them, but they are our roots, that's our past. You know, we've got to celebrate what the Isle of Man and how it's evolved and changed, but always looking back as well to see how far we've come. And yeah, we must get along to that exhibition. They do a great job at Jurby Church.
They certainly do. Not much change last week at the the Cronkyvody Sports Day, I suppose.
You never know, it might be the World Championships one day. But no, hats off to those guys up at Cronky, still putting on that sport. It's a traditional event. Like we said over the weekend, there was lots of Tynwald Day or Manx national celebrations for the National Day. And that is one of them. It's iconic. We must keep supporting these events.
Yeah, and, well, a reasonable week so far, and hope it continues, because a lot of people trying to catch up with stuff.
Yeah, there's plenty of silage down around our parish in Maloo and Santon, and let's hope that the weather does hold out for them. There's a few challenges around the different sectors at the moment, so it'll be an interesting summer ahead, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, if you missed any of the Countryside or any of the previous programmes, just go to manxradio.com, download the podcast. It's free as well, or free, as we like to call it. And you can go to the Listen Again feature and pick up any of the interviews in longer details in many instances than the actual programme that we can squeeze in as well. And if you want anything featured on Countryside, you can drop a message here at Manx Radio for Simon Clark or Kirree Comer, or you can send an email to countryside@manxradio.com. We're back next week with more from the Countryside. So until then, from me, Simon Clark.
And me, Kirree Comer.
We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.